Welcome back to Movie Synopsis. Today I will show you a horror mystery film from 2008 titled Mirrors. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. One can observe Gary racing through a subway station in an attempt to exit. He arrives at a locked door and forcefully opens it. After entering, he goes to a window and discovers it has been sealed with bricks. All of a sudden, the lockers in the room pop open, displaying their mirrors. Gary approaches the massive mirror in the room and declares that he had no intentions of escaping. The mirror starts to crack, and he tries to tidy it up, only to accidentally break off a fragment. He apologizes and moves to retrieve the piece, but his reflection remains unmoved. The man observes the shard of mirror in his hand, reflected in the mirror, and the mirror image utilizes it to cause his demise. An alarm sounds, prompting a man to switch it off before rising from his bed. Ben is staring at his reflection in the bathroom mirror while adding a crushed tablet to his glass of water. He bids farewell to his sister Angie and reassures her that everything will be okay. Ben approached an empty property, and the security guard Lorenzo granted him access. They approach the charred building, and Lorenzo mentions that he was working there when the fire destroyed the building. He informs him that the owners are still engaged in a legal dispute with the insurance company even 5 years later. The building used to be a hospital that closed down in the 50s before it became a store. The company anticipates security to make regular rounds of the area every few hours, but it typically remains peaceful. Lorenzo finds the cosmetics department eerie at night, without electricity and with an abundance of mirrors. Ben inquires about who is responsible for cleaning the mirrors, and the elderly guard informs him that it is Gary, the person he is supposed to take over for, who stayed up all night polishing them. While showing Lorenzo around, Ben avoids answering his question about why he left the police force. Finally, he guides Ben to the security trailer. At the same time, the mirrors inside the building spring to life. Afterwards, Amy returns home and inquires with her housekeeper Rosa about the children. She informs her that they are on the upper floor with Ben. Amy approaches and discovers them engaging in both play and conversation. She requests a conversation with him, leading them to the bedroom where they immediately begin to dispute. He informs her that it has been 3 months since he last had a drink and that he has found a new job while he waits to be reinstated in the police force. Amy doubts his ability to change, but he insists that she wasn't there to support him when he was involved in a fatal incident while on duty. She becomes angry and tells him that she was the only one who ever had faith in him, while their son listens to their argument. He offers an apology, yet they persist in arguing. He gives her a kiss, showing that they still have strong feelings for each other, but she draws back and informs him that she can't continue with that. That evening, Ben is at work, still acclimating to the environment. He discovers a bottle of whiskey in the cupboard, but sets it aside. When his alarm goes off, he begins his patrol within the building. The interior of the burn store is like a real-life nightmare. Ben has reached the cosmetics department. He catches sight of himself in a mirror and wipes away some dirt from his uniform. He notices a handprint on the mirror before he departs. He attempts to relight it and gives it a thorough cleaning, but it seems to be jammed internally. Handprints cover the entire mirror, reaching all the way to the top. A door appears to open in the mirror, yet in actuality, it remains shut. Ben continues to inspect the real object, while also frequently examining its reflection. Ben is led through a door to a steep staircase that descends into a flooded basement. He flips the switch, illuminating the room, and the door in the reflection instantly closes with a bang. The following day, Ben is at home ingesting another tablet when his sister arrives and advises him to stop taking them. She is worried about him, and he reassures her that although he is not happy with his new job, he needs it to support Amy and their children. He is not willing to spend the rest of his life sleeping on her couch. She suggests to him that he consider finding a job during the day. Ben gazes at his reflection in the mirror and notices that his face appears to be melting. Angie returns, and he orders her to leave and stop bothering him. He glances at his reflection once more, but everything appears as it should. Ben believes he is going crazy. Afterwards, while on another patrol at work, he inspects the charred mannequins and walls covered in mirrors. It is then that he has a moment of confusion as he thinks he spots someone lurking behind him. Ben looks into a different mirror and presses his hand against the glass to line up with the print, but it suddenly breaks and injures him. Upon reflection, the mirror appears undamaged, but when he turns around, a fiery woman suddenly materializes behind him, only to disappear just as quickly. He gazes at the mirror image and sees individuals engulfed in flames, yet nothing in the physical world. Ben is engulfed in flames as a fire ignites, yet he is unharmed in reality. He pieces himself back together upon realizing that everything is in order and discovering Gary's wallet on the ground. Ben returns to the trailer and searches through Gary's locker. He dresses his wound after cleaning it out. After checking Gary's wallet, Ben discovers a note with the name Essiker written on it. He returned to the building and proceeded to the second floor where the cosmetics department is located. Upon arrival, he inspects the walls and is startled by the sound of a woman screaming in agony. He locates the source of the sound and quickly moves in that direction. He searches every corner of the room, trying to find the woman, but he is unable to locate her. All of a sudden, he hears her voice once more and catches a glimpse of her reflection in the mirror, but in an unusual manner. After pulling the changing room curtain, he finds it empty. He then moves the mirror closer, positions it in front of the room, shines a light on it, and once again sees the woman. The woman on fire can be observed only in the mirror. When Ben's son Michael wakes up in terror, Amy consoles him, and he explains that he hears a woman screaming from the reflection in the mirror. She reassures him that it's only a bad dream before exiting his room, leaving the door ajar. She goes to bed, and once she switches off the TV, the woman suddenly appears on the screen and in Michael's mirror. Afterward, Ben visits the bar where Angie is employed and recounts his experience to her. She believes it's simply the pressure from all the recent events in his life. However, Ben continues to mention how mirrors can be found all around. He feels as though the reflection is gazing back at him. Angie urges him to seek out someone to talk to and begs him to try to get some rest. While Ben was sleeping, someone knocked on his door. A package is received by him from Gary. The contents include articles on the store fire and the man who admitted to starting it. Ben wants to have a conversation with Lorenzo about what he has observed, but Lorenzo is leaving work as Ben arrives. Lorenzo informs him that the police have already been there and told him about Gary's death. He wasn't told about the circumstances of his death. Lorenzo informs Ben that they will be sending a person to repair the leak in the basement. While Amy is supervising an autopsy at work, she receives a summons to the lobby to meet with Ben. He requests to see Gary's body in order to understand the cause of his death. Ben shares all his secrets with her, persuades her to assist him. They enter the freezer room, where the pathologist reveals that he committed suicide, although the police is currently conducting an investigation. Ben is informed by the pathologist that he utilized a fragment of mirror for the task. He gazes at the corpse and sees his reflection mouthing the word Essiger. Ben requests his file and successfully persuades Amy to assist him. He examines the images of the crime scene and points out a picture to Amy that clearly shows the weapon. The weapon with blood on it is the one that is reflected, not the real one. Ben has begun to suspect that the mirrors reflect false occurrences, causing us to act against our will. Amy advises him to change his communication style if he hopes to be reinstated. He claims to be experiencing visions and sensations that are being revealed to him. She inquires about the medication he is currently using to help him quit drinking. Ben displays it to her, and she remarks on the numerous side effects of the drug. He says sorry for interrupting her and appreciates her efforts to assist him. Afterwards, Angie is preparing to bathe. She removes her robe and walks towards the tub, her reflection remaining in the mirror. Once she enters, her reflection swiftly splits her face in two, mirroring the same unsettling transformation that occurs to Angie in the physical world. She passes away while in the bathtub. Afterwards, the police arrived to investigate the cause of her death. The detective enters the bathroom and empties the tub. He uncovers her face and observes the harm. When Ben arrives at home, the officers prevent him from entering, but the detective emerges from the apartment and intervenes, managing to hold them back as Ben struggles to break free. Upon seeing the body, he becomes sick and vomits in the sink. Ben is weeping by her lifeless form in the morgue as Amy reassures Larry that Ben would never harm his younger sister. Larry attests that his story aligns with the facts in most areas. However, his coworker has informed the authorities that Ben intended to quit his job. He informs Amy that they will release him because there is no justification to detain him. She invites him to come back to the house with her and the children, but he refuses out of concern for their safety. Ben believes that the mirror followed Angie, but Amy gets confused and instructs him to share everything with Larry. He doesn't believe that either of them will trust his account of what he believes has occurred. That evening, Van is at the store attempting to shatter the biggest mirror. If something isn't functioning properly, He reaches for his gun and fires at it until he sees a noticeable improvement. However, the mirror is able to heal itself. He continues to knock on it repeatedly and then collapses in despair beside it, pleading with it to tell him what it desires. He receives a message from the mirror, ensuring that the task is completed. Later, Van requests that Larry look up the name since he was unable to find it online. He is investigating the store and the fire, but he is having difficulties linking the pieces together. The man who started the fire in the store insisted that the mirrors were to blame. Larry gives him a call back to report that he was unable to uncover any information on Essakir, prompting Ben to suggest running a check on the arsonist's name, Terrence Berry. He informs Ben of his death and provides him with the name of the mental institution where he was confined. Ben is talking to his doctor, who informs him that the patient believed in the existence of two distinct realities. He displays the interviews with Berry to him. During the interview, the man claims that his family was killed by the mirror because he was unable to locate Essakir. Because Ben is worried about Amy and the children, he removes all the mirrors from the house, which frightens Rosa and the kids. When he is unable to remove something from his daughter's room, he covers it with paint. Amy comes to the location after receiving a call from Rosa, only to be angry with him upon discovering his actions. She requests for him to go, and he promises to do so as soon as he places something over the mirror. Amy is having difficulty grasping what is happening to him. She informs Ben that Michael's unusual behavior is due to his influence. He escorts her outdoors to demonstrate the situation, but when he fires at the mirror, it does not magically mend itself. The children are peering anxiously at him through the window, worried about the ongoing situation. Amy pleaded with him to put the gun down and come inside, but he drove away. While driving, he becomes so agitated that he almost gets into an accident upon noticing Angie in the rearview mirror. He manages to escape the accident and shatters the mirror. Ben returns to the store and searches the basement for an item. He discovers an old sign indicating the location of the hospital's psychiatric wing, which helps him identify the source of the water in the basement. He smashes through the wall, gaining entry to a room containing a peculiar device. He enters the machine that has a chair positioned in the center. He observes the constraints placed on it and then realizes that it is encircled by mirrors. Ben is constantly glancing at his reflection when suddenly it seems to attack him. Afterwards, he calls Larry once more and requests for him to find the patient employee manifest for the former hospital in that location. Ben instructs him to find a patient or employee named Essakir. Before ending the call, Larry advises him to stay low. That evening, they come together, and Larry provides him with all the medical records he was able to locate for Anna Essakir. The files were discovered by Larry in the evidence storage as they were connected to a cold case. The girl was just 12 years old when she was placed into care. She passed away along with the other patients in the hospital, who all perished on the same evening. The hospital was shut down following that. Their doctor, who had been arrested, took his own life by using a piece of the cell mirror the following day. Vin returns home and examines Essakir's records. He observes that she appears unfocused in all the photographs taken at the hospital. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia, exhibiting delusional and violent behaviors, and was subsequently committed. The only clear picture he discovers of her is from the year prior to her passing. He discovers a different document indicating that she had been released from the hospital just 2 days prior to the massacre. All of a sudden, he hears the sound of cracking coming from behind the TV screen. He takes them off and reveals Anna's photo reflecting in them. Ben comes to the realization that Anna is not dead. At the same time, his daughter is brushing her teeth in front of a mirror that Amy returned to the house. Michael is having a conversation with someone while seated in front of a mirror in his room. He gets up, yet his reflection is still visible in the mirror to Amy. After the child exits, she walks over to the mirror and is greeted by a smiling reflection. Amy phoned Ben and urged him to come to her house because she was highly frightened by her reflection in the mirror. She now trusts him, and they are both observed hiding all reflective surfaces in the house, including mirrors, windows, and TVs. After finishing up with the children, he bids them farewell before turning to Amy, who expresses regret for not believing him. Ben is going to Pennsylvania in search of Anna. When he sees her name on the mailbox, he veers onto a dirt road. Ben reaches the house and immediately identifies it as the one pictured. He knocks on the door, then heads to the window when there is no response, only to be frightened by a dog. A boy emerges and inquires about Ben's purpose, to which Ben replies that he is searching for Anna Essacor. He informs his mother about Ben's request, and she emerges from the house questioning him about Anna's intentions. Ben deceives her by claiming he is working on a paper about schizophrenia, and she then instructs the boy to inform his grandfather that someone is inquiring about his sister. The elderly man leads him to the basement where she had been kept due to her violent fits. He informs Ben that despite having sought assistance from every priest, healer, and doctor in the county, none were able to alleviate her condition. As Ben enters, he observes the condition of the room where the girl was held, while her brother informs him that Dr. Kane was the sole responder to their pleas for assistance. He was skeptical about the idea of demonic possession, but believed he could provide assistance to her. Ben inquires of the brother about her whereabouts after leaving the hospital, but he believes that she passed away there. Ben informs the man that he is aware of her previous dismissal and learns that she remained with them briefly. She departed as an unusual occurrence began to take place with the mirrors in the home, all while the girl had fully recovered. He inquires about her whereabouts, and the brother informs him that she has been sent to a monastery that prohibits the use of mirrors, making it difficult to locate her. Ben arrives at the monastery and requests a meeting with Anna. Ben explains to Anna that he came to inquire why the mirrors at the hospital are urgently seeking her. He pleads with her to assist in rescuing his family. Anna informs him that mirrors are portals to our reality. What she wants to discover is what is trapped within them. Smith presented the results of his research at the conference. Kane's therapy involved placing patients in a mirrored room for extended periods in order to help them overcome their schizophrenia. However, his assumption was incorrect. Anna remained unhealed. The demon that resided within her moved into the mirrors and has been gathering the souls of its victims ever since. She believes that returning there would allow it to use her as a conduit to return to the real world. Ben attempts to persuade her, but she refuses to comply. He informs her about all the individuals who were killed and shares a photo of his family to help her comprehend who he is working to protect. At the same time, Michael's reflection is seen entering the room where Amy and the child are located. Ben phones Amy to update her on his progress, but she suddenly becomes aware that Michael is no longer by her side. Upon looking through the door, she discovers that the house is flooded. Ben warns her to watch out for the reflections in the water. She notices that the mirrors have also been removed. Ben instructs her to locate Michael and avoid both water and mirrors. Out of nowhere, Amy notices something moving behind her, causing her to accidentally drop the phone. Ben bursts into Anna's room and demands that she accompany him. At the same time, Amy is shutting off all the faucets, and as she approaches the one in the bathtub, she catches sight of Michael in the mirror. Suddenly, she is pushed underwater and starts to suffocate. Simultaneously, the daughter hears her name being called, and she makes her way into her room. Upon entering, she notices her mother's reflection in the mirror. The reflection seizes her and initiates slicing her, until the actual Amy enters and pulls her out of the mirror. The reflection is upset that they managed to get away. Amy instructs her daughter to stay in the closet and not move under any circumstances. The house is experiencing frequent floodings. Amy goes downstairs to the ground floor in search of Michael. He is using a knife to remove the paint from the mirror. Michael reassures Amy that he only wants to play with them, and there is no need to be afraid. He flees with the knife, and she pursues him, eventually catching sight of his reflection beneath the chair. Assuming he is trying to evade her, the reflection wounds her and flees. Meanwhile, Ben escorts Anna back to the building. Once they step inside, objects begin to materialize in the mirrors that surround them. They head down to the basement, and Ben guides her to the chair because she is keeping her eyes closed. She instructs him to secure her to the chair, stating that this is the only way to protect his family. Amy returned to the house to discover Michael sitting in the water. As she gets closer to him, his reflection glances at her before dragging him below the surface. Amy is unable to rescue him, causing him to drown. Anna instructs Ben to stay indoors with her and starts praying as the demon breaks through from the mirror dimension. Upon opening her eyes, all the mirrors in the building shatter, resulting in her tragic demise. Michael is brought up from the water, and Amy administers CPR until he expels the water from his lungs. The mirrors within the building have been completely ruined. Ben enters the mirror chamber and discovers that Anna is not present. He listens as something creeps along the walls, and the demon suddenly takes control of Anna's body. Ben keeps shooting at it, but it continues to avoid him. In the end, the creature makes its move, forcibly ejecting him from the room and then hauling him through the basement. Ben fights with the demon and succeeds in forcing her onto a gas pipe. He fires at the object and it bursts into flames. As Ben attempts to escape the building, it starts to deteriorate. The demon strikes at him once more, but he successfully fends it off and it becomes trapped under the debris. Ben also gets caught. Luckily, he manages to free himself from the debris and makes his way outside, where a police car is parked and ready. Police officers and firefighters are passing by him, but no one pays him any attention. He approaches Lorenzo, only to notice that his badge is facing the wrong direction. The signs on the cars are identical. He eventually inspects the injury on his hand, only to realize it is on the opposite one. Ben goes outside but fails to catch sight of his reflection. When he places his hand next to a mirror, his fingerprint is visible on the opposite surface. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.